I hate MOBAs. Well, kinda. I don't hate Dota, but I don't really enjoy playing it alone. Which is to say that I never enjoy and play Dota because nobody I know plays Dota 2. So I also don't like Dota 2. But I'm positive that's more of a not for me thing than rather than it being an actual bad game. Whether it's the top-down perspective, mana bars, or the community itself just being more toxic and annoying than console fanboys, MOBAs just never clicked for me. That's not to say I don't like elements of MOBAs. I enjoy stuff about them. For example, I do like the core gameplay loop of having to attack and defend towers, items, shops, lanes with rolls, and some other things that are in them. It's just the top-down perspective for me, and the overall point-and-click and occasionally kill something idea isn't for me. So, when Valve's new game got leaked, I saw a few screenshots and I thought this looked disgusting despite me initially thinking it was just a hero shooter. This shit seemed to be more stinky than an emo middle schooler with dandruff. I'll admit, I was the first part of that sentence, at one point. However, before I got access, I was still willing to try it out. Valve has had a decent track record of making video games, excluding the Unwanted Child of Artifact, Half-Life Source, and to a lesser extent Dota Underlords. I don't know, I haven't played that last one. So that pushed me over the fence, and I was willing to give the game a shot. And you know what, I surprisingly had fun, and really enjoyed it actually. You might be thinking of getting held at gunpoint by the Lord himself, but I'm not. In fact, I might call this one of the greatest PvP shooters this decade so far. Maybe the finals is the best for me though, I don't know, that game was pretty great, but anyway. Deadlock is a pretty fun game, one that I'm unfortunately addicted to with like 150 hours of playtime as of me writing this part of the script. So, what makes this game awesome and why do I think you should give it a shot and try and get deadlocked into getting addicted for a while? Well, I'll tell you in this video. Firstly, I'll talk about why this game is different than other games in the MOBA genre. Why is this game actually good and different? Well, that's kinda complicated. For starters, let's talk about how mana works in this game. And when I mean it works, I mean it doesn't, because it literally doesn't exist here. That's a massive improvement. The mana system in a game where you fight other players is so stupid. It's just not fun running out of mana mid-fight to me. It just removes control from the player, and I don't personally like that. If I'm on a good killing spree, don't make me use consumable mana to continue fighting, that's just not fun. Also, instead of 3 lanes, there's now 4, and you MOBA haters like me might be losing your mind here, but the lanes are a little more dynamic, in a way. Sure, you'll be spending a lot of your time in the beginning in your lane, but towards the middle of a match, it becomes more like a Team Fortress 2 5CP match in a way. A constant tug of war to destroy the enemy's Patreon is a very similar idea to how 5CP works in the game. Just replace the enemy Patreon or yours with the final control point. Of course, 5CP is just one game mode in TF2, while Deadlock is just one game as a whole. As of I'm recording this, there's literally nothing else to it, but the game itself remains similar to 5CP in TF2. That might be a pretty bad comparison, but the point I'm trying to make here is that Deadlock puts a lot more emphasis on team fights to compare to something like Dota. And that is something that makes Deadlock more appealing to people who like hero shooters. And well, I really do, personally. This game might be a MOBA, but it's also a third-person shooter with the more fun parts of a MOBA to me, which also includes severe addiction because I'm addicted to this game in a semi-healthy manner. I wish I had more friends that played this game because some of the stuff in this game isn't appealing to them, but the addictive MOBA gameplay loop finally clicks for me here, and apparently a lot of people as well. Sure, the player base might have dropped since the blow-up at the beginning of last September, but that's for different reasons we'll talk about later in this video. Anyway, the game has a way faster beginning for a MOBA. Unlike Dota 2 where literally anything can take you out, and it takes 15 minutes to destroy one tower, Deadlock is a way more consistent experience throughout the entire match, and has a way faster pace. Creeps, or whatever these things are called, do way less damage to you compared to something like Dota. They are basically more of a nuisance rather than a threat at the start. When you kill one, it gives you souls, which is your currency, and it's basically the equivalent of gold in other MOBAs. But what's cool about this is that if you killed a creep with a ranged weapon, you get half the souls sprout out of the creep you just killed, forcing you to shoot the blue orb and collect the rest of it. This turns into an early game competitive aim trainer because your opponent can also steal your currency and you could steal his. This is a really cool way of actually making the denying mechanic in other MOBAs, and I actually really love how it's handled here. It's just so unique and creative compared to the other MOBAs on the market. Also, instead of a boring teleport item button, you have some sky rolls that also dynamically speed up or slow down depending on the pace of the game. Your team all in one lane during the late game? Well, the sky rolls will go faster to make sure everyone's sticking together. Also, I wonder where they got this idea from because that's super original. Items from other MOBAs are here as well, however they have some differences. For starters, there's a community build system in the game, which is very helpful. Other MOBAs like Dota require you to search the internet to find builds for your character, or just the best ones in general, which is something that I don't like personally. To me, it's kind of like playing a puzzle game, but with an utterly bullshit puzzle and being forced to Google the answer because you literally can't figure it out for the life of you. I just want to figure out the answer for myself without having to use external sources. Deadlock, however, gives you not only what Valve thinks is the best for your character, but also what the community thinks is best for your character. This cuts out the middleman known as your web browser and is way more beginner-friendly. Also, what web browser do y'all use? I'm curious to know, because if I see someone use Opera GX in the comments, I will forcibly feed you snow. Because I have enough snow to feed the entire population of Switzerland. Also, I'm not sure if other MOBAs are like this, but as far as I know, item show-ups are not just in your spawn in Deadlock. And here's the best part, the fucking item carriers from other MOBAs are gone. Instead, you're just given the item whenever you buy them immediately at a station. Which is an awesome way of making the game more engaging because it makes the whole pace of the game much faster. Bigger focus on teamfights, no mana system, no item carriers, and a surprisingly fun and wholesome community with no top-down perspective makes this the best MOBA on the market to me if you have access to it. I don't even like MOBAs. If you know me personally, you know I'd basically consider that term a slur. So it's shocking that I enjoy this game. And honestly, I really hate enjoying this game because my soul is screaming at me every time I play it, and I say I enjoy it. And well, a lot of the broader gaming community agrees with me. This isn't even covering a lot of the other cool stuff in this game. All the heroes are fun to play as and sometimes fight against. The movement system feels very different from most games, yet fun and interesting. And melee system smacks harder than your mom spanking your ass for when you said a cuss word when you were 5. You Hayes, get the fuck back here. No, you're dying. You're dying. For the most part, if you don't like this game, chances are it's probably just not for you. It's still a MOBA at the end of the day, but depending on what you not like about the MOBA genre, you will probably enjoy it. But I do have a decent number of criticisms and concerns for this game though, and I will personally hope that some of these get fixed. So if you happen to work on the Deadlock team and watch this video, this is my feedback for the current state of the game so far. Okay, first up, let's talk about some match times and how long they last. While I'm not entirely opposed to having a match last a little under an hour, this game could really use something like Dota 2's Turbo Mode. One of the biggest problems I have with Deadlock is that you really gotta commit to a match, and that's a pretty big problem for me personally. I'd love to play this game for more than 2 matches at a time, but not only do I not have many friends that play this game and are willing to sit down to play for more than 3 matches, but I'm just a decently busy person. I don't have a transition from what I was about to say, so let's move on to problem number 2. The new player experience for this game is very rough. Sure, there's a tutorial, but if I'm gonna be honest, most people are just going to jump straight into the game and just get pissed off and leave. Granted, there is one reason for that, but we'll use a comically large spyglass in a minute to cover that problem in a second here. Playing Deadlock without a friend to help you is literally trying to give a medieval child an iPhone 16 Pro Max and expecting them to use it. You're going to make him confused to the point of brain combustion. That being said, the build system is a great step forward to making this issue less common. So I'm pretty sure Valve are aware of this common issue in general. For now though, if you start playing this game, the best advice I'd give you is that you should just pick a hero you like and focus on what you can do for the team instead of what you can't do. This leads me to my third and most annoying problem I have in Deadlock right now. And it will probably be a problem forever, sadly. The fucking stuns, man. No!
I absolutely yoinked.
No! Why did you yoink me?
Oh,
leave me alone! Getting stunned again and again and again is so infuriating. Some people who watch this video will probably just tell me that's just how MOBAs are. But that's not really an excuse here. Remember, this is supposed to be the bridge gap between Team Fortress 2 and Dota 2. Well, it's appealing to that second crowd of people pretty well. It's not really a particular hit with Team Fortress 2 players, judging how the community of that game feels about Deadlock. Shooter fans that are very intolerant to stuns will despise this game, which is mostly all of them. And I can barely tolerate it myself, because at least a decent amount of the stuns are readable. Like when Infernus uses his ult, there's a big ring around that tells you, oh shit, I need to stay away from him. But some of them aren't like that. Sure, you can buy the debuff reducer item, but then you're missing out on another item slot that you could use for something that will probably help you more instead of using it to counter annoying stuns and debuffs. The fourth thing I have a problem with is the matchmaking. It needs to be more balanced because there's also so many one-sided stomps in this game right now. Playing with friends also makes the matchmaker freak the fuck out too. It's hilariously bad at creating balanced games, and it continues the trend with Valve having horrible matchmaking systems in their games. If I'm going to be honest, the only decent matchmaker Valve has made for their games is for CSGO or CS2, but those are the exact same games, with one being a small list of launcher improvements for a bunch of downgrades replacing the game we already had. But hey, I already made a video on that game already. Here's also the fifth problem I have with the game. It might sound like a nitpick, but I don't like how long the respawn timer is. I mean, I kind of understand why it's there, but honestly, it really does punish newer players because it seems like they're likely just going to die again and again and again and have to wait over and over and over again. This is why I feel like something like Dota 2's Turbo Mode should be in this game, because it would be a great way to get players more familiar with the game's overall mechanics, and then they can just go experience the more bigger, broader version of the game later. And finally, I know this is 100% being worked on, but what the fuck are some of these character designs? Do not get me wrong, I like a lot of them and they are pretty good. I especially like Abrium's, Infernus, and Viscus. But look at Yamato. I know she's gonna change, but her pinhead looking ass is all gonna remember if they don't prioritize some of this stuff to change. I do have a few smaller issues and gripes with this game, but they have been slowly taking care of them one by one, which is a great sign. I really want this game to succeed, and for a closed alpha, it's damn great. And it's far better than what we're gonna get with Neon Prime, which look like this. Deadlock has a bright path ahead of it. Sure, its player base has dwindled, but the game has a very passionate community, and that really enjoys this game. Keep in mind, it's a closed alpha with anywhere from 20k to 12k players on it always. That's like slightly more than like TF2's real player count. I'm sure this game will succeed, and most of the people who stop playing this game are probably just waiting for a full release at this point. I personally will continue to play, albeit not as much as I was before. I'm excited to see Valve fully release this game. Valve's modern track record is pretty spotty from Artifact and CS2, but I'm positive they can stick the landing here. I do have problems with the game, as I mentioned above earlier in this video, but I'm still having fun with the game when I do play it. If you want to play this game because it looks interesting and you don't have access to it, join my Discord server and add me on Steam. I'll add as many people as I can to get into the playtest so Valve can get some feedback for the people who end up enjoying this kind of game. Deadlock is the only MOBA that has really clicked with me, and trust me, I've tried getting into Dota. Who knows, maybe I'll end up liking Dota now. I mean, my opinions have changed over the years of me being a so-called gamer, so maybe my opinions on Dota change? I don't know. Besides the whole tangent, the updates for Deadlock are usually great, which makes me believe we are heading in the right direction. Although for the love of God, nerf Ginger Frozone. Anywho, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more stuff like this from me, be sure to like, comment, subscribe for more videos on games that run on the Source engine. Join my Discord server if you want to talk to me, and I'll see you guys in like a month or two, or 2 weeks, whatever.
Bye-bye!
Throwing flashbang!